Vice President Kamala Harris just arrived in the crucial swing state of Pennsylvania. Her outsized role in the Biden re-election campaign is just one of her many jobs. Here are the others. Critics have plenty to say about how exactly she's handled all those different roles not well, according to many, and of course, her very, very special way with words.
You need to get to go and need to be able to get where you need to go.
The significance of the passage of time. So when you think about it, there is great significance to the passage of time.
Culture it is a reflection of our moment and our time, right? And present culture is the way we express how we're feeling about the moment.
AI is kind of a fancy thing. It's, first of all, it's 2 letters. It means artificial intelligence.
As the name suggests, community banks are in the community.
Good to know. Democrats are quick to pin criticism of the vice president, sexism and racism. A new op-ed argues that the bottom line is that she's unlikable because she's not good at her job. Polls seem to bear that out. The Real Clear Politics average of polls puts the VP's approval rating at a dismal 40%. Matt Mowers, former New Hampshire congressional candidate, David Carlucci is a former New York State senator. They both join me now. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming here today. Matt, I'm going to start with you. What does Kamala's awkwardness, which we just saw in interviews and repeated delivery of word salad, have to do with racism and sexism?
Well, it doesn't. She's being judged on a single metric that every politician, regardless of gender or race, is judged on, which is competence. Let's not forget the one single public job she was given by President Biden was to serve as the border czar. Yet we have now had over 7 million illegal crossings across the southern border. By the way, that's 6 times about the population of the state of New Hampshire, where I'm from. And what we've seen is that also we have this massive record influx of deadly drugs like fentanyl. You know, I served in the State Department in the last administration when we had the Remain in Mexico policy, when we actually got tough on China shipping fentanyl across to Mexico and then across the southern border. They have not done this. Kamala Harris is being held to the same level of judgment, which is incompetence that Joe Biden's being held at as well.
David, I am a woman. I get that women are obviously treated a little differently than men in some circles. But this is not that. I'm sorry. I mean, she's the vice president of the United States. She's held up to a very high standard, as is the president, who's a male. And we talk about him all the time. But why aren't we being accused of male bashing when we talk about Biden? But, of course, you're a sexist if you're talking about Kamala Harris. The Washington Examiner, their article today, the title is, "It's not racism. People just don't like Harris," much like they didn't like Hillary Clinton. You are likable. That's a part of being a politician, or not.
Well, what many Americans might not be aware of is there's been numerous studies that show that female politicians are attacked, are harassed online far more than their male counterparts. And there was a study, particularly from the Institute for Strategic Dialogue, and they said that on Facebook, Democratic female politicians are 10 times more likely to be harassed online than their male counterparts. So what I think is that most Americans aren't aware of these studies and the relentless bashing of someone like Kamala Harris, who now has had unprecedented harassment and target on her. That starts to eat away at it. And the fact is that, yes, she hasn't solved all of the world's problems, but she's doing the job she was elected to do. And that's serve as vice president. Yeah. And she's done that admirably. Well, she's been able to be tie-breaking votes. She's had to stay close to the Senate and not travel all over the globe because she's had to be there for tie-breaking votes.
2 of the things that you just said could be true. Yes. It's true, possibly, that she is being targeted because she's a woman. But the bottom line is...
At unprecedented levels.
Yeah, but that's not why she's just unlikable. I mean, that is the bottom line, that she just seems to be unlikable.
When you talk about... The clips we just saw have nothing to do with policy. They have to do with gaffes of language. That happens to all of us, particularly someone that's under a microscope like the vice president.
If an elected politician cannot actually properly communicate to the American people, it does get confusing, and that does come across as Someone
it's
who's
all
not
what we focused on.
qualified.
If we take one clip out of a 30-minute speech and we show a few seconds, of course we could portray it any way we like.
And
but to say that
okay,
Kamala
I get
Harris
it.
is not distinguished.
You talk about how she's done a great job as the vice president. We just listed a bunch of her jobs. One of them was border czar. She was supposed to head to the border to figure out the root cause of illegal immigration. She's never done a thing about it. It's almost like it doesn't exist.
More tie-break.
So,
she's
yes,
done more
she has been given a lot of jobs. I don't know how she grades on them.
Vice president in U.S. history.
And
so
the
if we measure
the
vice president on what their job is, I think she's done a remarkable job. Has she fixed all the world's problems? Not yet.
Well, she hasn't fixed any of the problems she's been assigned. I didn't expect her to fix all the world's problems. The president can't do that either.
We just wanted to do her job, Julie. That's what most Americans are looking for. And the problem is Americans aren't buying what she and Joe Biden are selling. You know, almost 80% of Americans feel like they're just treading water in this economy or they're falling behind. They're not making enough to actually keep up with the record pace of inflation. They've not addressed those issues. Instead, they're sending her out trying to sell a bill that no one really asked for in the first place. And that's why Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are the two least popular presidents and vice presidents we've had in American history, at least since Jimmy Carter.
All right. I want to get to President Biden.
Real Clear Politics shows that Kamala Harris still has a lower unfavorable rating than Donald Trump. So when we really look at the numbers, it's easy to see
Joe
that
Biden also is less favorable at
profile
this point than
candidates
Donald Trump.
have unfavorable ratings.
All right. We are going to get over. We're going to get over to the Republican side here because there are now 8. Former Vice President Mike Pence says that he has made the cut for the first Republican presidential debate, which will air right here on the Fox News channel. His team is taking a shot at his old boss, speaking of Trump, who is not committed to joining the August 23rd face-off. Quote, VP Pence is looking forward to a substantive event debate about the issues important to the American people. Hopefully, former President Trump has the courage to show up. Matt, them are fighting words. I mean, the whole, Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg's got nothing on this ring fight.
Well, this one's pretty personal, as you can imagine, between the former vice president and president. I'll tell you, I agree with Mike Pence. And I think most Republicans do. I would hope President Trump does show up to the debate in August, hosted by this network. That's what the Republican Party's looking for. We're looking for fighters. We're looking for people who are willing to take on all comers. It doesn't matter if it's coming from, former Vice President Pence. It doesn't matter if it's coming from New Jersey Governor Chris Christie or Nikki Haley. Take them on. If you can't fight for your ideas and defend a record on a debate on Fox News, how are you going to stand up to Xi Jinping? How are you going to stand up to Vladimir Putin? How are we going to actually take on the southern border? We want Republicans who show fight. That's going to be on the debate stage in August.
David, quick final word.
Yeah, it's exciting to see a robust primary debate on the Republican side. I hope that Republican primary voters will hold the former president accountable to show up to the debate, make sure that they see the issues that he's running on. Right now, the headlines are dominated by scandal, by trials, and that's not something that should be the case. Here, Donald Trump has an opportunity to talk about his platform, to talk about policy, and not just the divisiveness of politics today. So I really hope that he does show up. I think Mike Pence is right that the American public deserves more.
Good point. Matt Mowers, David Carlucci, thank you both for coming on. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Julie.
Great to be with you.
All right, so the first Republican debate that we were just talking about, it's going to be right here on Fox News. You can't miss this. Brett Baer, Martha